go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
All right. Thank you very much, Blake. I'll take it from here. Welcome everyone who's able to join us today to our Healthy Holiday webinar. I'm Trevor Bradley Dade. I'm the Wellness Manager, the Fitness Center Manager here at SRA on the Mountain View campus. I'll be giving a joint presentation today on different holiday obstacles to your health, useful nutrition and workout tips with my friend London Baker here from the Bon Appetit team. London, why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Trevor, and thank you all for having me. It's nice to meet you all. My name is London Baker. I'm a registered dietitian, certified specialist in sports dietetics, so sports dietitian that works with Bon Appetit Management Company, and I'm excited to present with you today, Trevor.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, London, so much for coordinating and collaborating on this. We're all really glad you're here. So without further ado, let's dive into our presentation. We'll start by outlining the agenda for today, different topics we're going to delve into. First thing we're going to do is cover a little bit the barriers and challenges we might encounter during the holiday season. And then we'll switch gears a little bit and we'll review my 5-point fitness formula for healthy holiday success when it comes to working out. And then I'll hand the baton over to London, and he's going to review a number of nutrition tips for overcoming those said challenges that we covered towards the beginning of the presentation. And then we'll dive into mindful eating and the fundamentals of what it takes to eat mindfully. We'll kind of bring it together with a little bit of a summary. We'll open it up to the floor for a quick Q&A. Any sort of comments, questions, concerns you guys have, feel free to send them in the chat during the body of the presentation, and Blake will address them if he can, but we'll peel back through them towards the end and see if there's anything we can address directly for you guys. And then we'll do a couple quick promos and wrap things up. But like I said, we're going to start here by discussing some barriers and challenges that you might encounter during the holidays. And one of those might be holiday presentations. So this season, it's often a time of celebration, right? We've got Halloween, Thanksgiving dinner, holiday parties at work or at school, Christmas and New Year's on top of those. And not to mention, treats are being put out in every room, whether it's a break room, a common area, the cafeteria, or cookies even piling up at home. There are a lot more treats available to us than usual. And you might feel obligated to eat those foods because the folks that have brought them in so kindly perhaps gifted them to you. So we're dealing with all those multiple opportunities for treats to be available to us. And then all of these different events and parties often make it difficult to get in activity, whether like physical activity, a workout, or even just, something for self-care, meditation, sometimes even sleep, things like that. All these factors, they get in the way of maybe our workout schedule or making healthy home-cooked meals. So we kind of touched on it there. Another barrier that you might encounter during the holidays is decreased activity. So your workout frequency, consistency, that might decline during the holiday months due to your busy schedules. Many people often notice that as the weather gets colder and the days get darker earlier, there are fewer opportunities to get active outside. And we spend much more time inside, which is unfortunate, but it's just part of this time of year. So for you, or for many others that you might know, this might mean activity gets put on the back burner. So let's dive into a few different strategies with my 5-point fitness formula here when it comes to working out. I like to say something is better than nothing, right? Your training routine will differ a lot from your coworker, your friend, your family member, but regardless of your preferences, doing a little exercise is always going to be more valuable than doing nothing at all. So just remember, it's okay if you're in a time crunch, just do an abbreviated workout. The gym is still going to be there tomorrow and the next day and all the days after that. So regardless of how little or how much you end up accomplishing, you should take pride in the fact that you were able to get something done in spite of whatever sort of holiday adversity you were facing. Our schedules get hectic. Give yourself credit. I like to tell people, be kind to yourself, because if you aren't kind to yourself, who's going to be, right? We need to be our biggest advocates for ourselves and take care of ourselves mentally as well as physically. And workouts, they might look different during the holiday season. I like to tell people, just get moving. Hiking, walking, recreational sports, even if it's like a Thanksgiving, Christmas, backyard football game, something like that. Those are all forms of exercise. They're all physical activity, even if they aren't as intense or as intentional as something as like running on a treadmill or lifting weights or anything like that. So that's the first point of this fitness formula for success. The second point is that you should practice time management, right? We kind of touched on that a little bit on the last slide, but there are only so many hours in the day, as I'm sure we are all aware, and spreading ourselves too thin is never great for our health, whether it's physical health, mental health, emotional health, and whether we're on vacation or we're at work. We don't want to spread ourselves too thin, because that will only add stress to our plate. I like to call that scheduled stress sometimes, and we will carry it around with us regardless of where we are. If we're at home, off the clock, if we're at work, on the clock, that can weigh on you heavily. And if you attended last month's stress management and self-care webinar, you'll know that consistent stress can end up manifesting itself in a number of ways, physical ways that you might feel through soreness, illness, or injury. So while you're enjoying your time off, make sure you make the time to enjoy it. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos and the stress of packing or traveling, shopping, getting ready for different holiday parties, but try not to lose sight of what's important in those situations, and that's that you actually draw positive meaning from your holiday experiences, from your time off, because that's what it's there for. It's there as a relief. So time management can really help soothe that schedule stress. We only have a limited amount of energy, right? But if we divvy it up somewhat evenly and make sure there's some balance there between planned activities, chores, obligations, but also downtime and self-care time, that can go a very long way if we make sure those scales are somewhat even. So one thing that might help you is to set some holiday ground rules for yourself. All right, I'm going to work out for 30 to 45 minutes at this time in the morning, get it out of the way, and then I have my rest of my day to give to my family members, give to myself for shopping, holiday prepping, making food, that sort of thing. And then it doesn't even just have to be workouts in those situations. All right, I'm just going to take 30 minutes of downtime in the form of a nap. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to meditate, do some light reading, whatever it is. Make sure you have just a tiny bit of me time over the course of your day, whether you're at work or on holiday. You never want to have a situation where you don't have time for yourself ever, because that can end up adding up to a lot of stress. So we'll move on to the next tip here, which is to train efficiently. I like to tell people my motto is it's simple. It's efficiency, 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 right? So we'll go on to the next slide here. And when you're short on time for a workout, you're going to want the most bang for your buck, right? You want to pick exercises that will probably focus more towards full body movements, and that will make you more well-rounded as a human being. So I like to recommend that people do compound or multi-joint free weight exercises, because those exercises are going to burn more calories. They're going to train more muscle groups, and they're going to require more stability and mobility of you to perform. So you're probably thinking, what is a compound multi-joint free weight exercise? Well, compound exercises, they look very much in the way of full body. You aren't on a machine or just moving along a single joint. So these would be like squats, lunges, presses like a bench press, an overhead press, lots of different rows from different angles. So like dumbbell rows, seated rows. And of course, we have body weight movements like push-ups, pull-ups, etc. You can weigh those in a lot of different ways. Free weights, I think, is the best type of resistance training there is, just because of what it requires of you, which we just covered. Training more muscle groups. You'll need more mobility and stability to use these implements, and the free weights I'm talking about here are dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, medicine balls, etc. Most hotel gyms, they're going to have a few dumbbells, a couple free weights, maybe like a kettlebell, a medicine ball or so, and you can get in a really good workout with just a few implements or pieces of equipment at your disposal, even if it seems like you're struggling to have a wide variety of equipment to choose from. And when you're short on time, this is a really important point. If you want to be efficient, that is to try to avoid like weight machines or single joint exercises if you can, right? A bicep curl, this is all I'm doing. I'm not going to burn a lot of calories or train the rest of my body just by doing that. And I love bicep curls, to be clear. But there's a time and a place for everything. And when we're short on time, you want to try to train more efficiently with those types of exercises we just covered. And the second half of that, London, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you go? You're good. Is to keep those workouts up tempo if you can, right? You only have a limited amount of time, so try to squeeze as much work in as you can, and you'll be better for it after the fact. And circuits are a really sound approach for this. Just rotating through a handful of exercises, like 3 to 6 or so, that will encompass the whole body. And then you just set time limits or rep ranges for each set or rest interval that are super easy to remember. And boom, you have a really nice, neat 30-minute workout that is super comprehensive. So now we will move on to the next slide. Thank you very much, London. And in this slide deck that we will be distributing to everyone who's in attendance here afterward, I've taken the liberty of putting together a few holiday HIIT circuits here. This would be like 30 to 45 minutes of body weight work, right? HIIT, H-I-I-T, that's high intensity interval training. No equipment is needed for these. Like I said, body weight, you'll do a lower body exercise for a set amount of reps or a set amount of seconds. Then you will rest for a set amount of time, and then you'll do a core exercise for a set amount of reps or seconds. You will again rest for the same amount of time, and then you'll wrap it up with sort of a body weight cardio, full body type movement, jumping jacks, mountain climbers, line hops, etc. You rest for 30 seconds again, and then you go back to the top. And then you just do that for a few rounds, however much you have time for. Or maybe you just set a goal. All right, I'm going to do 3, 4, 5 rounds of this, and I'm good for today. And when I send this PDF out, this PowerPoint out, you'll notice that these exercises, they're all hyperlinked to short videos with visual and verbal demonstrations of the movement, just to give you some context if you're on your own and you're not quite sure how to do something. So we'll bump down to the next slide. The same principle applies here. Basically, this is just more resistance training circuits that you could do during the holiday. And again, these are all body weight. No equipment is needed. So if it's just you in a hotel room or the back room at grandma's house, you'll be able to do this. Squats, bicycle kicks, prone tees, and then, rest for a few minutes. We're looking at this full body circuit here on the left. Just do 3 rounds of that. And again, it's lower body, core, upper body. And I like to kind of pair exercises together in groups of 3 and go lower, core, and upper body. And that to me is a really efficient, sound way of training, especially when I'm crunched for time and I'm trying to be efficient. All right, so we'll move it on to the next slide here. Start rounding out this 5-point fitness formula with the 4th point here is just to stay in the holiday spirit. It's not really about working out at the end of the day, right? As much as I love fitness and physical activity, the holidays, they're meant to help you rest and recover, not go at 1,000 miles an hour. You need to recover mentally, emotionally, and physically from all the work you've put in at the gym and in the office throughout the year. So if we're stressing ourselves about workouts or physical activity, responsibilities, and more, we're not really getting to the heart of the point of the holidays, right? Your time off is going to miss the mark, and you're not going to feel quite as refreshed once you return to your normal schedule. So give yourself some leeway, take some liberties, have that holiday treat you've been offered. Remember, you've earned it throughout the year. Holidays are holidays for a reason. They exist for a reason, and if you don't indulge yourself during the holidays, well, when will you? You got to stop and smell the roses sometimes, and just qualify all of that. Everything in moderation is a good rule of thumb to live by. But we'll move it on to the last portion of the formula here is just to leverage the resources you have available. SRA employees, they enjoy a wide variety of benefits and amenities available to them off-site and on-site. And I think perhaps the best benefit we offer is free gym memberships. You get a gym membership somewhere else, it's going to be more crowded. They'll have roughly the same kinds of equipment that we do, but you'll be paying like $10, $15, $20, $40 a month, maybe more, just to have access to that. Whereas you can have it here, right here on site at work in your backyard for free. So just if you're not a member yet, you can visit MindBody online and follow the steps. I've hyperlinked them here once I get this slide deck out, so you can join us here at the SRA Fitness Center. And if you need more assistance, feel free to contact us directly. I've put our contact information in here as well. Second thing I want to say is check out our YouTube channel. We have a ton of videos for at home and at gym workouts, covering all sorts of different types of equipment and workouts and training styles. So regardless of whatever situation you're in, what equipment you have at your disposal, we'll have something there for you that you can do. And that includes recovery sessions like meditation or stretching, flexibility, mobility, that sort of thing. And then we're also on Instagram at SRA Wellness, and on Slack. Our channel is the hashtag Samsung-MTV-Fitness channel. We post almost all of our offerings and updates there, so definitely make sure to try to join those or follow us there. If you can, we do follow back on Instagram. And if you have questions about any of these things or anything else in your life wellness related that you want addressed, feel free to contact us at these email addresses below. And the last portion of the resources I'm going to cover here is that we have a personalized meal builder tool that we can use to create sort of a guide for your nutrition that aligns with your goals, whether it's weight loss, staying at the same weight, you want to put on muscle mass, that sort of thing. This will be individualized to your goals. It's going to outline food groups, food portions, and caloric amounts to aim for with every meal or snack you eat over the course of a day, and then list out healthy options to fulfill each of those goals. So if you're like, oh, well, I don't know what belongs in the grains food group or what one portion size is for this or how much calories I should eat of this, it will kind of fill in the blanks for you, the meal builder, and give you a bunch of ideas for every food group that you might have questions about. And those meal builders are often accompanied by individualized training programs through our free remote coaching program. And we design those to fit every client's unique needs. And you kind of got a taste of it a few slides up from here where I showed you those hyperlinked exercises and the HIIT circuits and resistance training, just something like that, but geared towards you as an individual and what training style would work for you and what sort of situation you find yourself in time-wise and setting-wise, whether you're working out at home or at a few different gyms. So just contact myself or our virtual coach, Jeremy, today if you're interested in that. And last thing I want to say is that Cafe Bon Appetit has many online resources as well, such as nutrition articles and some awesome recipes. And London can be reached at this email address here if you want a little bit more information there. But with that, I think I will be handing it off to London. He's going to take over.
Thanks so much, Trevor. Really appreciate all those tips and wellness resources that you've listed. I think just knowing the resources that are available can be huge and just very helpful with tackling some of those obstacles. But with that said, we're going to transition into some nutrition tips and recommendations for what you can do to help maintain your goals throughout the holiday season. One of the simplest strategies to apply to your holiday meals and gatherings is to consider using My Plate as a guide and kind of a template when you build meals. My Plate divides your plate into half fruits and vegetables, 1/4 protein, and 1/4 starches or grains. And if you aim to replicate this model during the holidays, you want to make sure that you are prioritizing the nutrient-dense options like vegetables and fruits, but still enjoying the other options that are available at the table. With this method, the goal isn't to restrict yourself from certain foods, but instead stay mindful of the types of foods that you're including on your plate to allow yourself some room for indulgences while also including some healthier options that are going to help support your goals. Some other recommendations and tips that you can keep in mind this holiday season are to actually not skip meals. This is a big one that comes up with a lot of my clients. I know a lot of us are looking forward to holiday meals, may try to save as much room as possible for the big meal that we're having that night. Well, contrary to that popular belief and practice, you actually want to avoid skipping meals. When you skip meals, you start to feel very hungry, obviously, and some even experience an emotion that I call being hangry, right? And being hangry is a state of when you are so hungry that you are not concerned with what you're putting in your body. You're just trying to satiate that intense hunger and trying to get those feelings to subside. So there is actually no need in order to save up an appetite for later. Instead, in order to help you mindfully approach some of those holiday indulgences and continue to have balance, try just having regularly balanced meals and drink water throughout the day and set yourself up for success to really enjoy that more indulgent meal while keeping your portions intact. Another tip that I'd like to give you is to include seasonable fruits and vegetables. So embrace the season's abundance of fruit and vegetables by featuring things like different types of squash, leafy greens, pumpkins, apples, pears, cranberries, and pomegranates. Try making a side dish that feels like Thanksgiving but has a healthier twist and make the seasonal produce the star of the show. Not only are you getting an abundance of nutrients from these fruits and vegetables, but they also happen to taste better, especially when they're in season and are much more affordable. Another tactic that you can employ is to consider using healthy recipe swaps. So in some cases, you can actually make recipe swaps to bring healthier elements to your holiday gathering without altering the taste that much. And your guests may not even know that you're making some of the swaps that you are. An example would be just like cutting the sugar by maybe a fourth in one of your favorite baking recipes. Most people don't end up being able to tell the difference in terms of taste and texture, and it still allows the baking product to have the integrity and some of the flavor that you're looking for. Another thing that you can consider on the lines of baking and pastry is try substituting an ingredient that may be commonly high in fat or sugar for more of a plant-based alternative. An example would be substituting applesauce or pumpkin for oil that you may have in your baked goods, like a zucchini bread, or using whole grain bread instead of white bread for stuffing. Another idea is using plain Greek yogurt instead of sour cream to just get a little bit more protein and get a little bit more mindful fats and also nutrients. Some other things that you can add to your arsenal are to be selective. I absolutely think that you should be eating your treats, your favorite treats on either Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatever you're celebrating. And if you look forward to stuffing or pumpkin pie all year long, then please feel free to indulge. But certain foods really aren't that special, and you shouldn't waste your calories or appetite on eating them. Things that you can generally get year-round, like cheese and crackers or frozen pastry puffs. Instead, take a second and ask yourself, is this food special to me, and is it really worth eating? If the answer is yes, then go ahead, pick up a fork and enjoy, because again, that's what the holidays are meant to be. Enjoyable and also a lot less stress and pressure to share those moments with your loved ones. Another tactic that you can employ is to try eating more slowly. I'm sure many of you may have experienced this because I know I have myself. Sometimes we can eat too quickly and our body isn't able to recognize how full it is because the time it takes for our body to ingest food to digestion, there's usually a little bit of a lag time. So you want to make sure that you eat slowly and that you're really staying in tune with your body's hunger signals and that you're not overeating to a point where you're beyond stuff. You want to eat just until you're satisfied. So putting your fork down between bites and tasting each mouthful is one of the easiest ways to enjoy your meal and feel satisfied just with one plate of food. Again, same thing with being selective. If you find that you are eating slowly, you've given your body time to digest, and after some time you've noticed that you're still hungry, then go back and have some more. And that's all about being in tune with your body. That ties in very closely with this final topic, which is the topic of mindful eating. For those of you who don't know, mindful eating is the practice of paying attention to food on purpose, moment by moment, and without judgment toward yourself. It's an approach to food that focuses on an individual's senses and awareness of the food that they're experiencing and enjoying in that moment. So by listening to your body's cues, whether you're hungry, the types of sensations that you're experiencing, and what it craves and how much it needs, you're really able to serve your body best. When you begin feeling the signs of hunger and satiety, you'll discover that your body can self-regulate these mechanisms and your body can really tell you what you need. So if you're looking at employing mindful eating and you want to practice it this holiday season, here are some of the fundamentals that you should try putting into practice. Number one is eating slowly without distraction. So many times can we be eating a snack or even a whole meal in front of a TV screen or with distraction with friends. And before you know it, your hand may be at the bottom of that snack bowl. And you may have not taken the time to recognize how much food you've consumed and if it actually satisfied your body's cravings and if you're satiated. So try to really eat slowly and focus on the food in front of you and really engage your senses from what you're tasting and experiencing. Next, listen to your physical hunger and fullness cues. Our body does have an internal regulation system that tells you when you should stop eating, when you're full, and when you should start eating. So start being more in tune with those hunger signals. Really start asking yourself, am I feeling hungry due to stress that may have occurred? Did I have a stressful meeting at the office and now I'm craving sweets as a result? Or did an ample amount of time pass between one meal to the next? And maybe now it feels like you may need a snack. Really try to take a step back and view where those hunger signals are coming from and what external factors may have caused them. And that's really the difference between a true hunger cue and a non-hunger trigger, that can produce a reaction that makes us want to eat. The last thing is try to engage all senses when you're eating. Like I said, you want to be observant of what you're putting in your body. Try to notice all of the colors, the smells, the textures, even the temperature of the food. Is it cold? Is it a combination of hot and cold? And the different flavors. Is it sweet? Is it spicy? Is it salty? Is it acidic? Really try to be focused on being fully aware as to what you're experiencing in that moment. And most important of all, try to focus less, if at all, on food rules. So with mindful eating, all foods fit, and it's a good approach to help your body understand how to self-regulate and create a better relationship with food. One thing that can help you really understand mindful eating is the hunger fullness scale. As I mentioned previously, with mindful eating, you want to understand when you should start eating, so when you're actually hungry, and when you're full. Now, if you notice on the hunger and fullness scale, you start seeing lightly hungry between a scale of a 3 and a 4. So you want to try and avoid being at 1 or a 2 where you're ravenous. And again, this can happen and show up a lot during holiday times when people try to starve themselves to save up their appetite for the big meal. You may be getting into that ravenous state. So try to get into a state of lightly hungry and let that be an indicator that it's time for your first meal. Conversely, you want to make sure that when you're eating, you want to fall on the spectrum of somewhere between a 7 and an 8 of the hunger scale. And that is after you've given your body some time to recognize how much you've digested in that moment. So what I mean by that is you don't want to keep eating and at that moment you realize you're full and you finish your last 2 bites. As I mentioned previously, there is a slight delay in the time of when you ingest food and when your body acknowledges how full that you are, just because it takes time for your food to travel throughout your GI tract. Well, you don't want to stop when you're at an 8 or a 9 because your body may still be sensing the food that it's ingested at that moment, and you might feel overly stuffed or even sick. A lot of us may have experienced this in Thanksgiving, right? When we go up for that second or third plate and we feel like we need to loosen up our belts. That's something that we generally want to avoid. So again, you want to initiate eating between a scale of 3 to 4, and you want to try to stop eating or finishing what's on your plate when you're really at about a 7 and give your body time to acknowledge how much it's already digested. So those are my top nutrition tips. Now to summarize all of what we've discussed today and to give you a few final reminders, I'm going to pass it back to Trevor. Trevor, please take it away. Oh, you might be on mute, sir.
Good call. Yeah, thank you so much, London. Fantastic tips there. I'm going to be using a number of those myself this holiday season. I love, in particular, the one about, asking yourself if a food is special to you or if it's just going to be empty calories. Because that's a situation I find myself in a lot. But like I said, great stuff there. So many useful tidbits. And now let's just peel back through what we learned today in review before we wrap things up. In summary, as we say, the 5-point fitness formula, what are they again? All right, well, something is better than nothing, right? We want to practice our time. We want to be efficient with our training. And we want to recognize that the holidays are a different type of year, different time of year, different type of setting, and take that into account. If we might do less at times, we might indulge more. That's okay. And the last point of that is just to remember to take advantage of the resources. We're here to help you. London, myself, and Jeremy, the whole SRA wellness team, we're here for you. And then just to bring it back to our overarching nutrition tips for the holidays, we want to eat those regular balanced meals. We don't want to starve ourselves throughout the day and end up on the low end of that hunger scale towards a 1 or a 2, right? We don't want to skip meals either towards that end. And, consider bringing that healthy side dish or utilizing some more healthy ingredients, swapping them out for maybe some that aren't as healthy within your recipes with whatever you're concocting for the holidays. And then to be selective, ask yourself that question that I'll be asking myself in the next few weeks. Is this food special to me? Is it worth eating, or would my calories be better devoted somewhere else? And the last point is just to practice that mindful eating. So be cognizant of what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, and your enjoyment levels to that end. But now we're going to open it up to the floor here real quick in case anyone has any questions. Thank you, Blake, for sharing all those resources in the chat. But if anyone has anything specific when it comes to workout or eating during the holiday season, now is the time to make yourself heard. Feel free to send in the chat or speak openly.
Is shoveling snow a good exercise?
A good exercise for
anything. You have this great big huge driveway, you're shoveling snow for hours. It's got to be good for you, right?
Oh, is shoveling a good exercise? I thought you're asking me for an exercise.
You people that don't live you people that live in California don't know. 11 inches of snow in your driveway is a lot.
No, I'm from Massachusetts, so I have known that time and time again. Yes, I would very much consider shoveling exercise. The more snow you're shoveling, the more exercise it is, I find to be the case. So yes.
Well, this winter we
definitely
should all
count
be
that.
fit.
Mhm. Very good question, Annette. Thank you. It's a good point. Anyone else have anything else they'd like covered or addressed before we move on? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, we'll start to wrap things up here. I just want to dole out a few quick reminders for our December Decathlon program. Those of you here that are a part of it, just remember to get those activities submitted to me by next Wednesday, the 21st. That is the hard and fast deadline we've set on this one. If you aren't a part of this program yet, you can scan this QR code and register, or you can click the hyperlinks in the slide deck that I'll be sending out later today. I've already started to get some submissions for those share care points for completion of this program. So I will be getting to those submissions today. If I haven't gotten back to you yet, sorry, it's been a little bit hectic, but you have been heard, you have been seen. And, if you haven't gotten those to me yet, just remember you got a few more days here to get those activities done and submitted to me. Last point I want to cover is that our January Wellbeing Jumpstart program is coming up. That's going to be starting on the 9th of January. So we'll give you guys about a week to get your feet underneath you before we kick things off. But we've got a 17-day activity agenda coming up. And we're going to kick off the new year with a really holistic approach to your health and fitness, and kind of just hand you a calendar with all sorts of wellness activities, daily wellness challenges on there, just to make sure you take a comprehensive approach to your personal health and fitness to start the new year and get things started off on the right foot. And of course, full-timers will qualify for the share care points if they're able to complete those. So sign up now. It's one of the decathlon activities. So boom, check off an activity, super easy right there. But if that's all we have today, I think we can go ahead and wrap it there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you again, London, for being a rock star. So much good information. Really very much appreciated. Happy to have you on board, my friend.
Thank y'all. It was a pleasure being here. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.